Today I'm welcoming Trina Lane to the podcast as part of the 2017 GRL Blog Tour. Trina has been passionately addicted to romance novels since the age of 13 and enjoys almost all genres. Her only requirement is that all reads have a happily ever after ending. When she's not devouring a new book by one of her favorite authors or thinking up new storylines for one of her own books, you can usually find her watching a movie with her husband and cat, working with her other passionate obsession, which is photography, or listening to her iPod, or quite frequently a combination of all of the above. Welcome, Trina.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks so much for having me on.
Oh, it's wonderful. We're glad to have you here. Kind of wish I was in the coffee shop where you're hanging out, because that would be a lovely afternoon pick-me-up.
They were very fortunate to turn down the music for me, so Starbucks is doing good today.
Way to go, Starbucks. They usually do good on most days, I have found. So, tell me, what new books have you got coming out that we could look forward to seeing at GRL?
Well, my upcoming release is going to be I think it's the 6th book in my Perfect Love series. It is actually the ending of the series, and basically this one is set up so that it is a reunion of all the characters we've met in the previous books.
Awesome.
Early release is scheduled for September through Pride Publishing, and then general release will actually be the week right after GRL.
Nice. Good timing. Tell us a little bit about that series in general for folks who may not be familiar with it.
So it started out as it wasn't intended to be a series, which it happens so often, I think, for authors. Start out with one idea and it kind of explodes from there. But it started out just as actually a MFM menage, and through the course of writing that first book, some sub-characters came into play and kind of just demanded that their own stories be written, and it kind of grew from there. So the concept of this final one is all of the characters from these previous 5 books are going on a big group vacation, and what's intended to be a whole lot of fun turns into utter chaos and pretty much just utter chaos as they find themselves embroiled in actually terrorism.
Wow, okay. Not what you want during your vacation, typically.
No, not usually. You don't expect to go to Hawaii and instead of sipping Mai Tais on the beach, you're ducking bombs.
So what got you started writing?
I have been a storyteller in my mind for as long as I can possibly remember. Even going back to young childhood, my mom used to say she was always just talking to herself, or which may or may not be a good thing. But and when I started, getting older, I devoured books. Usually, as I reached those teenage years, they tend to be, started out with Nora Roberts and stuff like that when I was a teenager. And by the time I reached college, I kind of started to branch out into finding other genres. And writing-wise, I honestly didn't ever think to write a book. I was working on my doctorate, my dissertation for my other life. And I needed an outlet. I needed a stress relief in the midst of doing all that. So I started writing down this story that I've been kind of telling in my head during my daily commute. That doesn't necessarily sound good because it sounds like I'm a distracted driver, but I swear I keep my eyes on the road. And it just kind of went from there. I finished it. I sent it off to a good friend of mine. I said, "Hey, how does this sound? What do you think about this?" And she's like, "You should send it somewhere." And I did, and that's that.
That's wonderful. That's a good origin story for an author. It started as, the stories in your head and then kind of just morphed its way into a career.
It's been fun. It is my stress relief. I have a full-time job. I have a family, and this is my me time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now you mentioned
with other people.
you mentioned you've got this series that's ending in September with the release of the new book. What have you got coming up in the future?
So my current work in progress is actually a sequel to my book that came out in January, which is Shards in the Sun. And so it will be a sequel to that, starring one of the other characters.
Nice. And what do you enjoy reading? Obviously, romance is a giant part of your reading, most likely, based on your bio information. Is it all romance all the time?
No, I'm actually a huge history buff, so I love reading books about not only periods in history, but events in history, both fiction and nonfiction. So it's usually one of those two. I've done so much reading for my career, my other profession, academic work, that when I choose to read for enjoyment, I tend to gravitate towards something that's a little bit more lighthearted, something that is entertainment versus biography and stuff like that.
Anything in particular you're reading right now you'd want to throw out a recommendation for?
I'm actually currently reading Country. I'm kind of working my way through that. I want to say Jeff Mann, but gosh, I'm not sure if that's right.
We'll look that up on Amazon before we put it there so we can put it in the show notes for folks.
I tend to read probably about 1 to 2 books a week.
Wow.
So,
I have to say that's impressive with, full-time job, family, writing your own stuff and still doing 2 books a week. I think it's amazing. I can't do that myself.
I don't sleep a whole lot.
That would help.
It's one of those things that I'm typically, I need the reading to settle my mind before I can sleep. So that is when it most often occurs. And then when I get a really good book and I can't put it down, I look at the clock and I go, oh crap, I gotta get up in 2 or 3 hours.
I've had that issue with some audiobooks before where it's like, I don't want to stop right now. Not right now. So tell us what your favorite thing about GRL is.
My favorite thing, honestly, is the people. Interacting and meeting new people, seeing friends that I've made over the years. That's my favorite part of it. I mean, the getting my name out and talking about my books, yeah, that's marketing. That's part of what we do. But I enjoy the social aspects, which is really ironic for an extremely introverted person. So.
But we hear this answer so often from folks, and I think it's just because you get all the introverts together, and we do okay with each other.
Maybe there's something to that, absolutely.
Because we all know how to treat each other, so that we can be, have those moments separate when we need them, and we can be, forward when we need to, and I think it all balances out somewhere. So, what's the best way for people to keep up with you online?
Facebook. Typically, I do have a Twitter account, but I'll be honest, I'm not very good about it. So. I do tend to try and get on Facebook and post things on Facebook at least every couple days.
Okay, awesome. We'll link to that in the show notes as well as to all of your books. And Trina, thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to seeing you in GRL in October.
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing you too, and thanks so much for having me on.
The Big Gay Fiction Podcast is thrilled to once again partner with Gay Romlit as a featured blogger. You can see all the participating blogs and the full GRL Blog Tour schedule at gayromlit.com/2017 blog tour. Gay Romlit is an annual retreat that brings together the people who create and celebrate LGBT romance for a one-of-a-kind must-attend gathering of dynamic, informal, and diverse fun. Each year, the retreat travels to a new city and hosts tons of events from raucous parties to mellow tete-a-tetes, while still maintaining a spirit of familiarity. GRL is the place to connect with old friends, find family you didn't know you had, and meet with both newly published and established authors in the gay romance genre. This year's retreat is set for October 19 through 22 in Denver, Colorado at the Denver Marriott Tech Center. For more information or to register, please visit gayromlit.com.